Good afternoon, everyone. So just recently, I just came back from Singapore, and we have this 2 days meditation workshop. And there's some of the common questions that people ask, like for example, most of the people they think that come on now I'm meditating, then they sit on the cushion and they force themselves to try to focus because you get the instruction that you focus, you place attention on your breath, and people try very hard to really focus and to really, push their mind to focus on the object. And most of the people becomes very agitated and irritated. And especially we are, working in our lay life. You need to work, and because the mind's been very active. So you can't stop the mind. Say, come on, you focus on the breath. That's it. Off you go. You cannot because the mind is being very, very active, and you can't stop the mind immediately. And most people do when the mind lots of thinkings. They try very hard to focus on the breath. They try harder, so that they try harder to focus on the breath, so that they don't think, and actually it's counterproductive. Actually, you use willpower to push your mind, you crash your mind, and actually it's become counterproductive. So I asked when we have interviews, I say, how do you feel? He said, after they feel very agitated and irritated because they use so much of willpower to really push and to really try to focus onto the breath. The more they do that, it's very difficult because that is become very tight. It's not actually meditation. Actually, is also to train us to stop the mind, to pacify, to calm the mind. So that's why a lot of people that don't spend much time in this present moment awareness. You just sit and you spend a little bit of time. No need to rush into focus on the breath. It's okay. The breath is always there, and the breath won't run away. It's always there. And the breath itself actually is nothing so special. Actually, it's just air breathing in and out. Because breath is a more neutral, is a neutral object, so we use that as an object, as an anchor point, because the mind constantly need to have something to do. So that's like we use it as an object. So but a lot of people think that what's so special with the breath, and then they try to find the breath. The harder you try, and then people say, I can't feel my breath, I can't breathe, I can't feel my breath, because when your mind become very tight and very, because of the anxieties, and especially you don't spend enough time in this present moment awareness. You spend a little bit of time, just sit there and just relax and just pay attention to how you feel like, and just relax your body. Because when we relax our body, actually as a way to calm our mind down, isn't it? When we relax, we feel that our mind started to feel. So, and there's another question someone asked me, yes, you asked us to try to relax our body, but I tend to fall asleep and I do relax. So I say, of course, I say, you don't, he said, you sit on the chair, sometimes can be very comfortable, and I fall asleep. So I say, you try to sit on some people have problem with their knees. I say, you try to sit on the chair, but you don't, like, just the posture, like, you don't try to lie down or just lay back. And I mean, it's comfortable enough, but not too comfortable that you fall asleep. You have to have feel comfortable, isn't it? So that's why I say, because I like to encourage people to relax the body. No need to rush on to focus on the breath. Allow the mind to have some times to really cool down, relax and calm the mind down before you focus. Because it's very natural. As your mind becomes really calm, and actually the breath, automatically the breath come to you. You don't even have to go out to look for the breath. And it's the breath becomes really, actually you can feel the breath is very calming and soothing. Actually, why we feel the breath is calming and soothing actually is a reflection of our mind. Because when our mind calm, then how we perceive our breath is calm. So that is all our how we feel, how our mind is all from how we perceive, how we see things, see the world actually is come from our mind. If we have that kind of very calm and peaceful mind, and you look at people, you see things, if someone have beautiful mind, you see things, you see only beautiful things of the other person, isn't it? If someone is very negative, and you only see the person, the whole person, they have the good qualities and the negative and the positive. But if a person have these negative qualities, the first thing they will look at the other person negative qualities, isn't it? Not the positive. This is how the mind, So that's why it's good that you just sit there. It's okay. If your mind wander off, it's fine. Actually, meditation is just a training the mind to be able to focus, because especially nowadays we've been busy, and especially with this multitasking, and a lot of people think that we can do things at one time. Actually, it's not, because it seems like it's happening at the same time, but actually it's not, because the mind travels very, very, very fast. It's faster than light. So when we do many things at one time, actually the mind is running around. That's why it's become very tired. The mind becomes stressed, because the mind keeps running from one thing to another. So you train the mind to focus on one thing at a time. So then you finish one thing, then another, because and it's very difficult to change this habit. It's because we've been conditioned, we've been doing that for a long time. So that's why when we practice meditation, we train the mind to stop. A lot of people confuse that, on one hand, he said we have to put forth effort, right effort to practice. And on the other hand, they ask us to not to do anything. So what is right effort? Actually, the effort into stopping the mind, especially with the thinking, and because some people ask, another questions people used to ask is that, sometimes with lots of thinking, and because we get caught, because when the thinking arises immediately, we react, isn't it? And we follow the thinking, and we go, follow the thinking, and then we started to speculate and proliferate, what's going to happen, and then we go round and follow the thoughts, and then this is how followed by anxieties, fear, worries. It's all these emotion, negative emotions arises, and this one thing leading to another. So and then I remember another person asked. He said, "But if I be able to just observe the arising and passing away, you just know that, for example, when our mindfulness very strong, when our mindfulness is strong enough, whenever the thought arises, immediately when we are aware of the thoughts, it's just subside, isn't it? Because the mindfulness is strong. It's just like a very sharp knife. You just cut it off immediately. But sometimes when your mindfulness is not strong, you get pulled in. So that's why I say, if you be able to just observe, not to have this non-reactive awareness, aware that you are thinking, it's fine. You don't have to replace the thinking. Only people that people ask how to deal with that if they cannot stop the thinking, because sometimes the thinking is too intense, very, very intense. And he says, I try to ignore the thinking, they can't, because they got pulled in. I said, when you got pulled in, then that's why this is right effort. So to replace the thinking. For example, you have this anger, you think of negative thing, you reflect on something that is positive, to replace a thoughts of loving kindness, to replace the thinking. But it's still thinking. But at least The positive thinking leads you to peace. Because when we think of something good, we reflect on our own virtues and we have done something good, we feel inspired, isn't it? Like others thinking that is worry you, all these anxieties, when we follow this kind of thoughts, actually it's reinforced that and it's become more intense. But this is just a skillful mean. Of course, if we be able to do that, if our mind is strong enough to be just aware with this non-reactive awareness, just to aware the arising and the passing away of any emotion of thoughts, that would be good. That is really great. So I said only those that, you get pulled in, then you replace the thoughts. That is the right effort, the Buddha said. This right effort, this four right effort. That is to not to allow this unwholesome state of mind arise. When it arises, then we try to abandon it. If we can't abandon it, because sometimes it's too strong, too intense, then we replace the wholesome thoughts. Then we try to keep that in mind. When we have these wholesome thoughts, we feel with wholesome thoughts. So unwholesome state, unwholesome qualities, is unlikely to creep in. That is a right effort to stop the mind. So it's okay. We just spend more time in this present moment awareness. We sit there and then we realize that lots of thinking, we keep wandering off. We couldn't focus on our breath. Even sometimes we sit an hour, hardly maybe, 2 or 3 breaths, and our mind wander off. It's okay, but you train the mind. After a while, you keep training the mind. Whenever you realize that you wander off, you start to think, you bring your attention back to the breath again and again and again. So as you do that, after a period of time, actually your mind being trained that way, actually your mind know how to come back. Even though your mind wander off, but won't wander off too far. For example, at the beginning, your mind may be wander off like, from here to Siberia and you get lost. But after a while, over a period of time, when you train the mind, to keep bringing the mind back again and again, you don't have to keep doing that. After a while, the mind just like automatic, won't go far. It's just like you have your dog, they know how to come back, isn't it? After a while they come back. You train them, you train them, they know how to come back. The mind also the same. So you have to be really patient. It's okay. Don't try to force yourself to focus on the breath. It's okay. Sometimes even with that, even you hardly can focus on your breath, but even with that, you're sitting there just aware that you're thinking, aware that, you say, I don't even notice that I think so much, Sometimes we don't even know and then when we sit down, you're just aware what's happening to your mind right now. In this moment, to aware of what's happening to your mind. Is your mind very busy? It's just a lot of worries about things, we just aware and know that this is what's happening and try to bring your attention back to the breath again. And then a little while, maybe again we get pulled in again, and then we bring back. It doesn't matter how many times you keep doing that. After a period of time, your mind will not wander off too far. Maybe sometimes a little bit, and then you realize you come back. And then over time, you get better and better. And after that, you'll be able to really focus on your breath. Because sometimes people want to quickly, get onto the cushion and sit on that and focus on the breath. And people want to get this deep state, want to have experienced the deep state. So actually, we meditate is a very famous saying of Ajahn Chah. We meditate is not to get something, is to let go of things. We to let go. Try to get. If we try to get into that state of mind, we will never get it. Because the one thing, when we crave, the mind move. and we started to think how to get there, isn't it? And that's why sometimes people not content, not happy with this moment. That's why you spend a little bit of time, just sit there, relax, and it's okay just to allow the mind wander off. Each time you notice that your mind wander off, you just very gently, but not too hard. Some people that tends to be very hard on themselves. You see, they say, come on, you silly idiot, you wander off again. Then actually you have to be loving kindness, mindfulness with kindness. It's not, mindfulness is not enough. You have to have kindness. I remember just 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, months ago, because as a bhikkhuni, every 2 weeks we have to ask for exhortation from the monk, like a teaching from the monk every 2 weeks. So usually when we call up Ajahn Brahm, he will give us a short teaching. So he gave us a teaching from this Dhamma Pada. There is a teaching that is one day a yaka, that is a deities went to the Buddha. He said, mindfulness is the utmost, mindfulness is the supreme. If a person has mindfulness, the person will attain enlightenment, this person will abandon all the defilements, that is, as long as you have mindfulness. Mindfulness is the supreme, is the utmost. Then the Buddha said, it's wrong, it's not. Mindfulness itself is not enough. You have to have kindness, kind. Sometimes we tend to be very harsh on ourselves, isn't it? So very gently and softly, okay, come on, come back, just ask the mat, just bring the mind, come back to pay attention to your object again, and keep doing that very gently and patiently. Do that. That's why Ajahn Brahm used to say, he have these new words, kindfulness. So mindfulness plus kindness. So you have to be really kind to the mind. Allow the mind wander off, but bring the mind back. So you keep doing that. After a while, not to worry, the mind will not wander off too far. Maybe at the beginning, very far. After a while, it's maybe you wander off a little bit, and then because if your mindfulness becomes stronger and stronger, you're aware of your mind that is wander off more. You pick it more quickly. And it takes time. So the Buddhas again and again emphasize that this is a gradual training. It will not happen overnight. If we want to train our mental muscle, we need to train over a period of time to strengthen the mind through practice mindfulness and the focus, the stillness. Because again and again, being asked, samatha and vipassana, shall I practice vipassana or samatha? Actually, they're two sides of the coins. Because when you have stillness, as your mindfulness increase, your stillness increase. As the stillness becomes stronger, your mindfulness becomes stronger. They are both sides of the coin. The awareness, then you're aware of that, and then because you're aware that this thought is following this thought that create a lot of suffering for yourself, and that is inside. And then if you be able to focus on the object, you need to have lots of insight in order to be able to focus, isn't it? Because you not be disturbed by all those thoughts, all those emotions, to be able to just focus onto the breath. You need to have lots of wisdom, insight in order to be still. So a lot of people think that you practice samatha, you don't have wisdom. No, you have to have wisdom to be still. So as your stillness increase, you have your wisdom also develop, and there are two sides of the coin. So you have to be mindful of what's happening, isn't it? If someone is not mindful, we don't even know that our mind wander off and we follow, and then we start to have all these stories to tell. That is, we completely lost our mind. So if someone is mindful, you're aware that what's happening to your mind, what's happening right now, this moment. So it's always good to go back to the basic. No need to rush, to focus on the breath. You just keep, relaxing. Just spend more time, to bring your mind to just aware of what's happening in this moment. Then when your mind, as you feel that your mind is calmed down, actually, naturally, you can feel the breath. And the breath will come to you naturally and very clear. You don't have to look for the breath. The breath come to you. So just spend a little bit of more times, um, in this present moment awareness, just to allow things, accept whatever feelings, accept whatever thoughts that is coming in is okay. Just letting go means letting them be. Don't try to interfere. Don't try to push it away. Don't try to do any. It's very difficult not to do anything, not to react to those thoughts or feelings or emotion. So that is not easy, but is possible and doable. So maybe we can start to meditate now. Yes. So just choose a comfortable posture. And just bring your awareness into this body. And just to relax the body. Just to aware of how you feel like in this moment. If you feel there's any tightness in your body or any tension, you just relax. Just allow the body be. If your mind wander off, just very gently and very softly to bring your mind back to your breath. If you can't focus on your breath, it's okay. Just spend more times to just being aware of what's happening in this moment. Any questions or comments? Yes. Can you give him the mic to have? Yeah.
What's the best way of dealing with remorse?
Okay.
What's the best way to deal with remorse?
Yes.
And what is remorse?
The best way is that sometimes I do encourage people because sometimes that disturb their mind. So sometimes it's good that you do forgiveness before you start the meditation. This is how usually I encourage people to bring, those that we cause any hurt or harm, that, we difficulties to the person, so we bring them to mind. So we just imagine that we are holding this incense, flowers and candles. As we ask for forgiveness, we said, through our body speech of mind, we have done things to cause us harms, or we have not done things that we should have done, that I would like to ask for forgiveness. Then you just imagine, okay, that person smiling at you, that, yes, I forgive you. And that's because in Buddhism, we we always encourage people not to carry the guilt. We all make mistakes. If we are perfect, we are not here. So that is already past, we let that go. Even a very famous story that Angulimala, and he is a severe killer, and he become enlightened. So because of he be able to let that go, the guilt or things, is already past. So we don't carry that. That's why we encourage, like, for example, as a monastic, we have like a bhikkhuni, like every fortnight we have this confession and things like that. When we do that, actually is to help us to not to carry any guilt, to try to support someone, support your practice. So is it make sense to you? It's help with that?
It answers the question.
Huh?
It answers the question
Okay.
about remorse, thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions and comments? And even sometimes also encourage people to do, when you do loving kindness meditation, you can do that as well. And also you can also bring to mind that those that you have that hurt you the other way around, then you forgive them. Sometimes we cannot let go, we cannot forgive, and also that disturb the mind. They think that how come they do that, And this is how a lot of people think that if I forgive that person and the person get away, actually we forgive someone, actually ultimately we are the one who benefit. We are freeing ourselves, because holding on to that is not doing us any good. It's already past, but the mind just don't want to let go. That's why the Buddha's teaching of non-self, the mind just don't want to let go. So that's why when meditation actually is training of the mind, we train the mind little by little. It will not happen overnight. Okay. No more questions, so we can end this meditation session.